a close hit in Tel Aviv and Haifa, and also in Petah Tikva. But all the guys are okay, and sending all the love and peace to South Sudan.
أنا واقر كوس مواطن جنوب السودان بقيم هنا في إسرائيل بالتحديد تل أبيب. به بطمن الأهل والأصدقاء كلهم إنه أنا بخير والمشاكل اللي ما حدثت بينك وما تخافوا علينا، إحنا كويسين الحمد لله.
Hi, Shalom, my radio. This is Amos Chan, living in Tel Aviv. We are all safe. All South Sudanese community living in Israel, we are all safe and fine. Our family back home should not worry.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good afternoon. This is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. An independent consultant and policy analyst, Boboya James, has raised an alarm over what he calls a pattern of financial dishonesty that has come to define South Sudanese government's dealings with international lenders. The Balanda community in Western Equatoria is urging the government and humanitarian partners to provide relief assistance to the internally displaced persons in the state. And several South Sudanese in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv have confirmed their safety due to the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran. This is stories and more coming to in this news bulletin with me, Lasuba Memo, and now the news in detail. An independent consultant and policy analyst, Boboya James, has raised alarm over what he calls a pattern of financial dishonesty that has come to define South Sudanese government's dealings with international lenders. Among the most pressing cases is a ballooning $1 billion debt to Qatar National Bank, which initially issued a $700 million loan to Juba in 2012. The escalation of the dispute has led to legal maneuvers reaching beyond the United Kingdom to U.S. courts, a signal, James says, of increasing international frustration.
Fortunate that the government of South Sudan is becoming more weaker in terms of fulfilling international contractual obligations with international companies and international banks, because this issue of Qatar is not the only case. We have also the Africa Exim Bank that is demanding the government to pay $657 million. We have the Viva Cell, for example, that has taken the government to court, and they're demanding close to $2.9 billion. And now we have the Qatar Bank that has been working with the government of South Sudan, so the government of South Sudan to be able to pay the $700 million loan that they have been dealing with the government of South Sudan. And now they have upped that to $1 billion to deal with this government.
The implications are far-reaching. As legal battles intensify and non-payment accumulate, James warns that international lenders and investors are growing wary of South Sudan as a credible partner. While a significant portion of its oil-backed loans lost to corruption, James says the government lacks the fiscal space to fund development or even mount a legal defense in the growing number of lawsuits.
So that is significant in a way that tells the international community that the government of South Sudan is not becoming a honest broker, and therefore it's going to be hard to deal with this government. So what I see as from the analytical perspective is that there's already damage of the government from international relations perspective. For example, if you look at the issue of the Qatar taking now the matter from UK now to US, because they want the US to up their financial capability in terms of not punishing the government of South Sudan in a way that they have breached the agreement that they've signed in a way.
International experts have long viewed South Sudan's oil reserves as a potential driver of economic transformation. James says this situation further complicates South Sudan's pursuit of long-term stability and growth. He added that without foreign capital, donor trust, or functioning institutions, the country faces a grim cycle of debt, legal entanglements, and underdevelopment.
the government of South Sudan will never be able to deliver very genuine services to the people of South Sudan, because now, even to win a case such as that, you need to spend a lot of money with lawyers to be able to do that. So, basically, there will never be service delivery very soon in South Sudan in terms of that. And the government of South Sudan will not be able to get on its feet very, very soon again. Because let me tell you this: the reason why those borrowings were made was that most of the money was going to come from the oil to be able to fulfill that, and 90% of the money that was borrowed has gone into corruption.
As South Sudan grapples with a mounting debt and credibility crisis, the analyst is urging a national calculation. Restoring trust with international partners, according to James, will require not only repayments but also genuine reforms in the financial management sector. Without transparency and accountability, South Sudan, he said, risks being permanently shut out of partnerships it needs to rebuild. The Balanda community of Western Equatoria is urging the government and humanitarian partners to provide relief assistance to internally displaced persons in the state. Last week, authorities in Western Equatoria state said over 80 IDPs, mainly children, arrived in Yambio from Nadiangare, Payam, after months of hiding in the bush, surviving on wild fruits. The displacement followed renewed fighting in the area after the removal of former Governor Lieutenant General Alfred Futio Karaba from office in February 2025. The unrest forced civilians to flee for their safety, with many seeking refuge in the forest. Speaking to iRadio this morning, one of the chiefs of the Balanda community says the situation of the IDPs is alarming and requires urgent intervention. Chief Pandey appeals to the national government and humanitarian organizations to intervene to assist the internally displaced persons. He spoke to iRadio via phone interview this morning.
Community Bitawusine Equatoria Mabalanda Barao, community Jaffi Mahala Zuluna Diangere, the Pakam, Umio Sam Samil Mayambi County. Tabani conflict fi mashakil naki au adisi sijara min nagre meto gasumo. Jamada jere umunja nezil fi mahal fi binadi bangusu. Alhamdulillah hakuma ala gumun hakuma silumun. Asomun fi denta hakuma kana hakuma gaya no waratomon. Yana kan biasa hakuma beta wilaya au hakuma beta national government u partners kama national gaya no wara motni na adisi Sandesado jamade maita no sora domon fi social media yan sukari no wajati no yan nsuan melanin na zeta barin sidi yan gasalo yan partners Sandesado ma wilaya ma national government.
You're listening to iRadio News. Several South Sudanese in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv have confirmed their safety amid the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran. It's unclear how many South Sudanese are living in Israel. However, some of them who spoke to iRadio said foreigners in Tel Aviv are facing heightened risks and challenges due to the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict. While some countries have initiated evacuation efforts, others have limited assistance, leaving many individuals to navigate the situation independently. According to those who spoke to iRadio, although they are good, the conflict has disrupted daily life, with businesses closing and tourism declining, further complicating the circumstances of foreign nationals in the city. Additionally, the tourism sector has been severely affected, with significant decline in visitor numbers due to safety concerns. This is what they had to say.
Hello,
iRadio. This is Dan, one of the guys that live in Tel Aviv. Thank you for checking on us. Yeah, everything is really scary, but we are all doing okay. There is less than 200 South Sudanese in Israel, and they are all doing okay from different kind of cities. There has been a close hit in Tel Aviv and in Haifa, and also in Pataktikwa, but all the guys are okay, and sending all the love and peace to South Sudan.
أنا واقر كويس مواطن جنوب السودان بقيم هنا في إسرائيل بالتحديد تل أبيب به بطمن الأهل والأصدقاء كل منه أنا بخير والمشاكل اللي ما حدثت بينك وما تخافوا علينا إحنا كويسين الحمد لله.
Hi, Shalom, my radio. This is Amos Chan, living in Tel Aviv. We are all safe. All South Sudanese community living in Israel. We are all safe and fine. Our family back home should not worry.
أهلا وسهلا جنوبين وإذاعة آي راديو. شكرا جزيلا كثير. بنشكركم من إسرائيل تل أبيب بالأخص لأنه في وقت صعب زي ده فكرتوا فينا وقاعدين تحاولوا تشوفوا أوضاعنا كيف. بتكلم معكم تعبان وديال. أنا مواطن عايش هنا في إسرائيل، قاعد في تل أبيب بالضبط. فهاجل فيه ما تشيلوا هم، احنا كويسين، احنا قاعدين عندنا مناطق اللي نقدر نحمي فيها انفسنا وكده، احنا كويسين بكده. ونتمنى انه يقف سريع ونرجع لحياتنا الطبيعيه ونقدر نعيش ونقدر كمان نطبق.
A rights group is calling on the reconstituted Transitional National Legislative Assembly to establish an official website and Facebook page to improve public access to information and promote transparency in legislative processes. In a statement released this morning, the executive director of the Center for Peace and Advocacy expressed concern over the lack of public accessibility to information regarding parliamentary activities. Termanyang noted that the absence of a digital presence leaves citizens in the dark about critical legislative debates, decisions, and national policy discussions. He said the establishment of the Parliament's website and Facebook page will improve civic education, citing the importance of digital communication. Terry spoke to iRadio this morning.
South Sudan's National Parliament continues to open in the vacuum with no formal platform for citizens to allow or to understand what is being discussed or passed in their name. Establishing a website is going to help citizens to have access of the activities of the Parliament so that they will understand and they will know and what is happening in the Parliament. This will enable the real-time and update and fostering accountability, strengthen the human rights, good governance, rule of law. The right group emphasized that the digital communication tools are essential for promoting civic engagement, combating misinformation, and building trust between the citizen and the elected representative. CPA urged Parliament to prioritize this initiative and to collaborate with the relevant key stakeholders, including the civil society organization, development partners, to ensure the successful implementation of this.
As the world marks the International Day for Countering Hate Speech today, the UN Secretary General says biased algorithms and digital platforms are spreading toxic content and creating new spaces for harassment and abuse. According to the UN, hate speech refers to offensive discourse targeting a group or an individual based on inherent characteristics such as race, religion, or gender, and that may threaten social peace. It says the devastating effect of hatred is nothing new, but its scales and impact has grown with new communication technologies, making hate speech a frequent tool for spreading divisive ideologies globally. If left unchecked, hate speech undermines peace and development by fueling conflicts and human rights violations. The United Nations has long mobilized efforts against hatred to defend human rights and promote the rule of law, recognizing hate speech impact across areas such as peace building, gender equality, and youth support. The UN strategy and plan of action on hate speech defines hate speech as a communication that attacks or discriminates against individuals or groups based on identity factors like religion, ethnicity, or gender, though a universal legal definition is still under discussion. It said despite challenges posed by online hate speech, governments, civil society, and individuals continue to develop strategies to combat it effectively. The plan of action highlights the vital role of partnerships involving tech and social media companies, particularly the use of AI in addressing hate speech. While AI offers valuable tools for early warning and conflict prevention, it also presents risks if not governed by human rights safeguards. UN Chief Antonio Guterres said in a statement, and I quote, "Today, as this year's theme reminds us, hate speech travels faster and farther than ever, amplified by artificial intelligence. Biased algorithms and digital platforms are spreading toxic content and creating new spaces for harassment and abuse." In July 2021, the UN General Assembly highlighted global concerns over the exponential spread and proliferation of hate speech around the world and adopted a resolution on promoting interreligious and intercultural dialogue and tolerance in countering hate speech. The resolution recognized the need to counter discrimination, xenophobia, and hate speech and called on all relevant actors, including states, to increase their efforts to address this phenomenon in line with international human rights law. The resolution proclaimed on 18th of June as the International Day of Countering Hate Speech, building on the UN Strategy and Plan of Action on Hate Speech launch. To observe the day, the United Nations invites governments, international organizations, civil society groups, and individuals to hold events and initiatives promoting strategies to identify, address, and counter hate speech. Last month, the Youth Desk of South Sudan Council of Churches encouraged young people to refrain from spreading misinformation and hate speech on social media, but to promote peace and harmony within their communities. In March 2025, the South Sudan Media Authority warned social media users, including politicians, against incitement and hate speech during the current tension and armed clashes in parts of the country. Before international news, Western Bahar El Ghazal Cabinet of Ministers has banned the manufacturing and sale of high alcohol spirits and illegal drugs within the state. The decision was made during a joint meeting held on Monday between the State Council of Ministers and the State Security Committee. The ban targets alcoholic beverages with high alcohol content, specifically those ranging between 12% and 41%. Among the prohibited brands are Uganda Waragi, Royal Blue, Imperial Distilled Gin, Boss Gin, Flash Vodka, and Jaguar Cocktail. Locally brewed alcohols known as Siko and Aragi have also been banned. In addition, the cabinet outlawed the sale and use of illegal drugs, including tramadol and ice, a street name for crystal methamphetamine. Under the new directive, any factory found violating the ban will be fined 20 million South Sudanese pounds, while companies will face a 10 million pound fine, wholesalers 5 million, and retailers 2.5 million. This is iRadio News. And now to the international scene. Here is Helen Samuel.
Good afternoon, and here are some of the stories making headlines in the international arena. Controversial Kenyan televangelist Gilbert Deya, who claimed he created miraculous pregnancies, has died in a road accident. Police told local media that Deya died on the spot on Tuesday evening after his vehicle was involved in an accident with a university bus and another vehicle near Kisumu town in western Kenya. At least 30 other people were reportedly injured, including a person identified as his wife and a passenger in his vehicle and 15 students in the bus. Deya, who ran a church in London, rose to infamy in the early 2000s following his claim that he could help infertile couples conceive miracle babies through prayer. Elsewhere, Donald Trump is considering joining Israel's strikes targeting Iran's underground nuclear sites, the BBC's U.S. partner CBS News reports, as the two nations exchange fire for a sixth day. The U.S. president earlier called for Iran's unconditional surrender and says he knows where the country's leader is but won't kill him for now. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei says he will never compromise with Israel and will show no mercy. Finally, Belgian prosecutors say they are seeking to put on trial a 92-year-old former diplomat over his alleged role in the 1961 killing of Congolese independent hero Patrice Lumumba. Etienne Davignon is accused of involvement in the unlawful detention and transfer of Lumumba at the time he was taken prisoner and his humiliating and degrading treatment, the prosecutor's office said. He has not yet commented. Lumumba's children filed a case in Belgium in 2011 to demand justice after their father was killed aged 35. That's all for now, Lasuba.
Thank you, Helen Samuel. This is iRadio News. And now to the world of sports. Here is Emmanuel Joseph Akile.
Veteran defender Sergio Ramos scored as Monterrey held Champions League runners-up Inter Milan to a 1-1 draw at the Club World Cup in California. The Mexican side opened the scoring when the 39-year-old Ramos, who won the competition 4 times with Real Madrid, powered a header in from a corner in the 25th minute. Inter, playing their first game since they were thrashed 5-0 by Paris Saint-Germain in last month's Champions League final, leveled just before the break as Lautaro Martinez tapped home from close range. Champions Liverpool will host Bournemouth on the opening weekend of the 2025-2026 Premier League season, with Manchester United playing Arsenal at Old Trafford. Liverpool, who won the league in Arne Slot's first season in charge, will begin their title defense at Anfield in the curtain raiser on Friday, 15th August. Campaigners have criticized FIFA after it appeared to drop anti-racism messaging at the Club World Cup, with some suggesting it may be connected to the policies of US President Donald Trump. FIFA backed no discrimination armbands at the Qatar 2022 World Cup and last month hailed a new disciplinary code to fight racism more effectively and decisively. So far, however, such sentiments seem to have been absent during matches at the revamped competition in the US, with the governing body instead promoting a Football Unites the World campaign. And finally, former Premier League referee David Cote has been charged by the Football Association for comments made about ex-Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp in a video that was leaked on social media. The 42-year-old was suspended in November 2024 after the clip showed him making derogatory comments about the German and Liverpool. Cote was sacked a month later by the Premier League referees body Professional Game Match Officials Limited following a thorough investigation into his conduct. That's all from the world of sports, and back to you, Lasuba Memo.
Thank you indeed, Emmanuel Joseph Akela. This is our radio news, and to end this bulletin, here's a recap of the headlines. An independent consultant and policy analyst, Boboya James, has raised alarm over what he calls a pattern of financial dishonesty that has come to define South Sudanese government's dealings with international lenders. The Balanda community in Western Equatoria is urging the government and humanitarian partners to provide relief assistance to the internally displaced persons in the state. And several South Sudanese in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv have confirmed their safety amid the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran. That's the end of iRadio News. If there is a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message at +21 925 287 It's also a WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1:30. I am Lasuba Memo. Thank you for listening.